Hello, friends. Wishing you a very happy new year. This is the first episode of the Mint Etc. podcast for 2026. And I have, of course, my co host Shouvik with me, and Shouvik has already given you all a thumbs up. So there we go. Lovely start to the new year, and usual suspects that we will be talking about, of course, the Consumer Electronics Show, which has been around for so many years. Many of us have been visiting, and a lot of talk around that. But more important than that, and the reason why I'm saying more important to that is because it pertains not only to India, but India, Malaysia, the European nations, and some other countries also, is the entire issue with Grok. What happened with Grok has been sort of, a disturbing trend for many. Shavik, you have covered this at length. Of course, the news part of it is that pleasantly surprised that Grok said, Platform X, or Elon Musk, obviously, who owns the platform, has actually admitted its mistake and removed about 3,500 pieces of content, as well as deleted 600 accounts.
Right.
Of course, this is after much of, I would literally say, stick to beat with, as far as the IT ministry was concerned. And I think there was enough pressure even from European nations, and even from Malaysia, countries like Malaysia and some other countries also.
Right.
Quickly, Shavik, just give our viewers and listeners a background, and let's wrap this up as to what it means, and then
Absolutely.
we can discuss our answers.
Absolutely. I think it's a very important topic because what people raised was a concern that wasn't exactly new. So in August, Grok, which, as we all have seen on X, which was formerly Twitter, Grok is Elon Musk's answer to ChatGPT and Google's Gemini. And to make it popular, he of course built it into X, and people can just tag Grok on various photos and ask questions and answers, and everything was going pretty all right. In fact, until in August, Grok launched a feature called Spicy Mode was added to Grok, which allowed Grok to generate content that could be not safe for work, content that could include nudity and other sexual themes and adult themes. Um, Interestingly, of course, Elon Musk has a very open stance on freedom of speech. So he's also maintained that while other platforms have a strict no adult content policy as part of their community guidelines, Elon Musk maintains that if you're an adult and if you want to see adult content, you should be able to see it. And the same policy applied to Grok. So Grok ended up with a feature that allowed him to generate sexual content. I think where the problem came in was that people could tag Grok on another person's photo and morph that into something that should never happen to anybody, which is to see your photos being converted into images that borderline on nudity or obscene content, so to speak, in terms of the legal definitions. And I think that's where people drew the line. People started raising a question that how can an AI bot just come and turn your photos into nude versions of themselves on social media, and any person could come to you and do it. So this kind of blew up on the 31st of December and 1st of January. And of course, the IT ministry took notice. They sent a notice to X asking them to explain themselves. And now X has filed a response, of course, to the IT ministry stating, and this is the interesting part, they've said that, look, it's generative AI, so it's not our platform which is generating this content by ourselves. It's actually the users who deliberately want to create such content, so the users should be penalized. And well, the IT ministry was not very happy with that response, which is what we had told, and eventually it led to Grok publishing or furbishing an action taken report to the IT ministry, stating that we have started banning accounts and started taking steps, and we'll make sure that such content doesn't happen or doesn't get generated. Just one point to add here, though, interestingly, is that globally, Grok seems to have pulled back this capability for users to generate such content. The problematic part, which people have still maintained, is that You can still do that as long as you pay for a premium version of Grok. So it has, of course, restricted the open usage, but it's still maintains that if you are a paid user, then for some reason it's okay for you to do that. Maybe in some ways, Grok believes that if you're a paid user, then it will be able to track you and trace you better. So for now, this seems to be the solution, and the topic is
I
wide
think,
open
you know,
and in discussions.
I think there are a couple of things out here. I mean, more importantly, is to how what kind of model lens are you looking at when you look at technology? Of course, I
Right,
mean, I do concur with Elon Musk on this part that everybody's an adult. Adults have the right to choose. Okay, because
right,
this is an ongoing tussle that we have had over thousands of years. Not I mean, no two parties really agree on this, on a sense of morality, because what can be moral in one particular country, it could be
could
deemed
be moral.
immoral in some other countries. What is
Absolutely.
unethical in one country is unethical, sort of deemed ethical in another country. So cultures differ. Our value systems differ. We come from a different things, which is why exactly I think what the IT ministry is trying to put out here, that respect the laws of the land. That's a
Right,
safer way of doing it. So this is not a
right,
question about really about whether it's adult or whether it's but if you're sort of catering to an Indian population, because X has got a sizable number of users in India, so they have to
right,
look at it from an India lens and respect the laws of the land out here. It is very similar to where films are shown over here. Now we may not agree with this beep sound when invectives or expletives are used in cinema.
right,
Everybody knows, in fact, it's a clear indication that somebody is using a kind of an expletive out there. uh,
right,
but having said that, I would say that for society to function in a kind of a decent fashion, sometimes some of these rules, however unreasonable or weird they sound, they have to be implemented. And respecting the laws of the land at this point in time is a sensible thing. Because if you notice with India has taken the techno-legal approach, which you and I have spoken about, where we are trying not to stifle innovation with it. But what happens over here, there you just think about it. I'm just providing a different perspective. I'm not saying it's the right perspective. I'm just providing a different perspective. Like,
right,
say, if tomorrow Pornhub or any of these porn sites, okay, like there are plenty of porn sites that have been time and again been banned by the Indian government. But if they start saying, okay, now tomorrow we are going to start showing you news also, you can choose between news, you can choose between site. What are you going to do
right,
about it?
right.
So, are you going to
It's sort
allow?
of like a
So my
it's
question is, are you going to allow the porn site to operate in India? Okay. Then you
right,
won't ban it. Like tomorrow, many of these sites just take them and they say, okay, no, I'm going to give you hardcore news. For adults, we'll give a separate thing. Will you allow that?
right.
That is the question out here. Because those
Absolutely,
segregation.
and it's in fact, Leslie, it's similar to say surrogate advertisement for alcohol brands,
Exactly.
which we've seen. Questions around whether consumption of alcohol is moral or immoral.
Yeah,
That would
I
be completely
don't get into
subjective.
that. Yeah. But definitely, like if it hurts a large section of society, there are some laws that have to
Yes.
be put in place for order. We may agree, we may disagree with them, but at this point in time,
Right,
this is the law of the land. If there are enough laws. The Indian IT Act, which was sort of amended in IT Act 2000, which was amended. Then you had the rules 2011, and now of course with the DPDP rules, then you have a host
right,
of OTT rules, right? And for social media
right,
things, if you look at it, yeah, we have these laws and they have to be respected. So it's a gray area. It is not
right.
an easy area to navigate. But having said that, my personal opinion is yes. I think Grok did a very sensible thing by admitting its mistake, at least in India. Whether they agree, whether Elon Musk agrees with the overall, moral architecture of the nation or of the globe or of planet Earth, that's a different issue. That's not relevant in this particular instance, because that's a larger, broader question which deals with philosophy. So those are things that make sense, but in a broader context. But for now, before we conclude, of course, a look at the Consumer Electronics Show, where there was a lot of gadgets. Every gadget under the sun or every product and solution was being touted as an AI powered gadget, AI powered solution, AI powered tool. And that was expected because, that marketing buzz, nobody wants to be caught saying that it is a kind of a normal kind of product or anything like that. So that's the story. Of course, a lot on connected devices, broad themes, and the other thing was what Jensen Huang loves to call physical AI, the kind of the robots or the humanoids. So
Right.
that I think these were two kind of broad themes that were being discussed at CS. Uh, Shavik, quickly, anything that caught your eye which you want to share with our viewers and listeners?
A lot of things, Leslie. In fact, just to start with, I'd want to point out that CES, in fact, has been known for its showcase of robots, and we've all seen on the CES show floor how every year there is a showcase of robots that are meant to change our lives. We've done and experienced robots at CES, which can do your laundry, which can do your cooking for you, which can do your cleaning for you. And every year we seem to be seeing these manifestations of physical AI. But this time, what really caught my attention are two particular things, which is holographic display and smart glasses. Napster, which pretty much back in the day, the old Napster in its new avatar, it's come up with a holographic display concept, which is a tiny USB device that plugs into a MacBook, and it creates a holographic version of an AI assistant which will maintain eye contact with you. It will gauge your facial recognition and try to give you assistance and companionship and suggestions on your work. Based on the way you're reacting to work, it will gauge whether you're stressed or not. Very interesting concept. In fact, I would say, I don't know if it will make it to production, but as a concept, I think just the idea of having something like we've seen in video games, Cortana in the famous video game Halo.
You see a lot of sci-fi movies. You find those assistants just
Absolutely.
popping out of your thing and talking to them. I think you'll keep a lot of especially the Gen Z generation very interested and engaged in these kind of conversations. Whether it is a sensible conversation or not, I don't know, but
Absolutely.
definitely an entertaining conversation. I would say that for sure.
Absolutely. And in fact, Leslie, the other one was Lenovo's AI glass concept. Lenovo says its smart glass weighs just 40 grams, which is as light or lighter than some heavier spectacles. And they say that it's going to be a full-fledged augmented reality experience. It can roll text in front of your eyes, it can give you real-time live language translation, and it can last up to 8 hours on a single charge.
Oh,
Beyond that, it's just a fashion accessory if it's not charged. But Lenovo believes that this is going to be in production pretty soon. So I think we're kind of seeing the evolution of wearables and companies trying to see how to manifest AI into your real life or augment it into your real life, be it through a holographic assistant or a smart glass, which is pretty interesting.
I'm so glad that you brought that up because the Chinese company Lepro,
Right.
they showcased the AMI device, which is a desktop OLED screen, and it houses and what is they call an AI soulmate.
Wow.
So
That
pretty
we are
interesting.
already there.
Yeah, I mean it's same thing like very similar to the kind of holographic companion that you are talking about,
Right.
because so I thought that was pretty interesting. Of course, there are lots of smart purses, then uh, brain sensing devices,
Right.
some a lot of robotics, the humanoids that were displayed at CES. So I
Absolutely.
one thing
And
I think.
in
Sorry, go
fact,
ahead.
Leslie, just sticking with smart wearable glasses for a second, there's a product called Dot Lumen which was showed at CES. It was showed at a previous CES as well. This time, it's got a more production-ready concept, and it's a smart wearable for the blind. It's a smart glass for the blind which gives real time navigation guidance. It reads out obstacles in front of a person who's visually impaired. It, of course, gives you live translation and so on. And I think these are the sort of gadgets that you expect would help people. And this is really an example of technology in action that can actually make a big difference. And which is actually pretty cool to see happening right now.
No, absolutely. I think because this melding of science and technology that is being displayed at these kind of trade shows, whether it's the Consumer Electronics Show, whether it is the Gitex in Dubai, or because now remember that Consumer Electronics Show is not the only show. There are plenty of
Right.
other kind of shows, whether it's in Berlin, whether it's in Canada, whether it's in Dubai, whether it's in some other country, and there are plenty of these, and most of them are stellar shows, and you have kind of a similar crowd, uh, and similar kind of speakers, so you sometimes get a sense of deja vu, which earlier,
Right.
when I used to cover Consumer Electronics Show way back, I mean, more than, I'm talking for the last 3 decades or so, it used to not happen because there wasn't an overlap as such. CES was known for consumer electronics, the others were
Right.
known for kind of enterprise shows or trade shows. But now, because of this, not only melding of science and technology, but that has always been the case. But in this particular case, what I see is, CES it is known as Consumer Electronics Show, but the applications are actually a lot of enterprise applications. Okay, and the
Absolutely.
more
And
important, yeah, because at the end of the day, if you don't have a commercial application in the enterprise, it hardly picks up. So that
right.
it's a kind of a conundrum, and a happy conundrum, I would say. Of course,
Right.
having said that, our viewers and listeners are intelligent enough to know that many of the prototypes do not see the light of day, but that's not an issue, because
Right.
many of them are trendsetters. Many people get ideas from these products. These are the inventors who have probably patented the product. Sometimes they open source it. I remember Pranav Mistry had shown the in one of the TEDx talks. He had shown the pendant AI, kind of a pendant which was open sourced, and
Right.
many things have been built using that kind of technology as a base over the years. And so is the case with all these technologies. So, friends, I mean, Shavik and I have given you a kind of a brief. I mean, I'm sure you all would have your own pick of the CES lovely gadgets that were out there. How many of them see the light of day is a question mark. But as we keep on reiterating, that these are trends that one has to look at, and robotics is here to stay. Connected. Is here to stay. AI powered devices are here to stay. What form, what factor they take, that's a different. Whether they'll end up as a rollable screen, whether they'll end up as your holographic AI companion, whether they turn up on your OLED screen as a AI soulmate, and the I'm not sure what they'll end up as, because I don't think anybody can really guess where these trends will actually, how they'll translate into products. But it's an
Right.
interesting thing. So, Shavik, on
Absolutely.
this happy note, we'll end this episode. And next week, of course, we'll bring you some very interesting developments, mostly about India, because we are nearing the India AI Summit. A lot is happening on the annual. Shavik is preparing himself for the India AI Summit, which is in February, because a lot of bigwigs will be here, heads of governments, big tech CEOs, and I
Right.
think India recently launched the Param supercomputer, if I'm not mistaken. Just
Right.
a couple
And
of
in
days.
fact, we're also expecting to see Demis Hassabis and Jensen Huang and Dario Amode all being a part of it. So it'll be very interesting to hear because they've all kind of dabbled into the philosophies of AI, and that'll be very interesting to hear what they have in
Yeah,
mind.
absolutely. So, friends, wish you all once again a very happy new year. Have a lovely week. This is a lovely week to start with, because this episode is actually being, we did it on a Monday, which typically we do it on Thursdays. So, today is Monday. So, wish you all a lovely week ahead. And that's bye for now.